Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and today I want to pick up from my last video I made where I was talking about a secret about business that will revolutionize your life. Piggybacking off of that, to let you know to look for something hard to do. It doesn't have to be very hard. It doesn't have to be the most hard. It doesn't mean to make something easy into something hard. It means something that's a little bit harder to do. Now, the barrier of entry doesn't have to be financial, because it's obvious if the financial barrier to entry is very small, very low, you can get a lot more people getting into that, and that could flood the market and could make it not very financially reasonable. But another barrier to entry that people don't talk about is the difficulty in doing it. I don't mean that it's hard to do in the sense that you got to go to college or spend years learning or anything like that. I mean just that it takes more effort than most people are willing to put in. There've been study after study done that most people, average people, by a huge majority, give up after 2 or 3 times of trying something and not succeeding at it. This is most obvious you see in New Year's resolutions. Millions of people in the United States, tremendous amounts of them, make New Year's resolutions every single year, and it's something like 92% of them fail to achieve those resolutions. It's because it's hard. And anything with any kind of difficulty for average people, and that's not you of course, but for average people, leads to them giving it up. They just won't do it. Many people give up the very first attempt. They start doing it, it seems hard, and they give up. But I'm going to tell you something that's very important here. These things, these businesses that are harder to get going, that seem difficult, that most people give up on, oftentimes when you get in them and you start learning and you get to become more of an expert at it, they actually become very easy. Those super easy businesses, while they may be easy at first, can be very hard from the perspective of the fact they make very little money. Or they have such a low maximum potential point. Because the barrier of entry is very small, it's very easy and anyone can do, and it gets stagnant real quick. But if you will find a business that you enjoy doing, but it's definitely more difficult than just some simple thing, and you'll dedicate yourself to that, and you'll become the best at it that you can be, you will find great success because people aren't doing that. Yes, there are, of course, outliers who do. But for the average person, for most people, it just isn't the case. Most people won't even try some of the harder businesses because they will see it, it looks difficult to them, and they give up. And as I said, by hard, I don't mean back-breaking manual labor or anything like that. I just mean that it may take some work. It may take some effort. It may take long hours at first. It may take learning a lot at first. You know, a few decades ago when I started reselling, there wasn't all these apps and tools to be able to figure out sales rank or how many times an item is sold in the last 90 days or anything like that. So lots of times you were just flying blind because you didn't know. And it took a lot of learning to be able to master finding products that are worth reselling. Because you could buy a lot of stuff and it maybe even has a potential to sell for much higher amount, but no one's buying it. And you had no way of knowing that. So you had to just learn, figure stuff out, figure out what people are buying, look at stuff, look at how much of a product's in the marketplace, look at what people are talking about. What do you see trends going on in stores? And you really would have to learn a lot of stuff. And that was a barrier of entry, while not difficult, but it was so much work at first that most people didn't do it. And even today, when there's all these resources to figure out exactly the likelihood of an item selling, so you can know exactly what it's sold for, almost exactly how many times it sells for in a month, and people still give up. Because there's still a lot to learn. There's still a lot of mistakes you can make if you're not educating yourself and improving yourself. And this goes with any business. You need to be learning and growing and expanding in the business. Are you learning more about that particular industry? Are you learning more about that field that you're in? Are you constantly learning? Are you still doing the same stuff you did 10 years ago or 1 year ago even? The businesses where people succeed are the people who are constantly learning, constantly striving for growth, constantly improving themselves. If you get stagnant, because that's the easy thing to do. And some businesses could go to extremely high levels if you won't be average. Maybe they can be sustained and be pretty easy, but if you really want to go to the next level and become ultra successful in that business, you're going to have to really ramp up your self-improvement, ramp up your knowledge of the business, your knowledge of the industry, your knowledge of what other people are doing, not necessarily to do what they are doing. Oftentimes you just see what other people are doing and you do the opposite because you see the mistakes they are making. So often in businesses are stuck in ruts. They're doing some process they've been doing for years because someone years ago made that decision to do it that way, and that way hasn't been working well for years, but no one's had the guts to change it. And the original reason that maybe things were done that way doesn't even exist anymore. So doing it a new way would actually be more sensible, more reasonable, and yet no one's doing it. But if you're the person in your own business who's growing, who's seeing things, examining things. Now, this does not mean constantly changing your exact way of doing things and just always in an upheaval about how you do stuff, because that doesn't work either. What this means is you observe, you see how other people are doing things. Does that make sense? And as you get better at your business, you will know immediately whether a way somebody is recommending is good or whether it's going to be bad for you. But if something makes perfect sense, it's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, it's going to make you more profit, then why would you not implement it? Don't get stubborn, don't get stuck in your ways, don't look for the easy way out at all times. Yes, if you can find an easier way to do something and everything still goes perfectly and efficiently the exact same way, awesome. Do it. But don't cut corners. Don't look for ways to be cheaper when it's going to provide a worse customer experience. Don't look for ways to do it faster when it's going to make the product or service worse. Every way you can save time and money is great if it's going to keep the product at the same level or the service at the same level or improve it. If it's going to detract from those things, you shouldn't be doing it. But there are so many ways you can improve. And if you look for a hard business, one that's more difficult, it could be because of financial barrier of entry, but that's not always the right way either, because you don't want to have a bunch of money invested in something that you're not good at yet, because it may take a long time to actually bring you some sort of returns. So it doesn't have to be a big financial barrier of entry. The hardness could just be the fact you have to learn a lot. But if you're willing to dedicate yourself to it, you're willing to improve yourself each day, you're willing to constantly learn from others who are doing it, you can become that expert and that success at that business that most people won't even try. Or if they do try, they give up almost immediately. So I want to encourage you today, my friend, go out and find that thing that people aren't doing because it's too hard. If you're confident you can do it, but it's going to take some work, you understand that, you're not deluding yourself, go out there and do it and become that great success you could become. And watch as you get rewarded abundantly for your efforts. Because, my friend, God blesses those who work and who are diligent. Work is ennobling, and God will reward you greatly for your wise work, your hard work done intelligently. I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.